Do you want to know what are the top 10 countries by number of approvals for EB1A and EB2 NIW? This is your video. We're going to discuss that. But Oscar, you already talked about that last week. That is true, but I made a mistake and this video is a correction. Yes. I do make mistakes. That's why I always direct you to the USCIS official website. Hi, my name is Oscar and I'm a scientist. I'm not a lawyer. In this channel, we talk about green card categories in which you can self-petition. And that means you don't need to have a lawyer if you don't want to. And you certainly don't need a job offer or a company sponsoring you. That's why these categories, EB2 NIW or EB1A, are so popular because you can be the owner of your immigration future. Okay, so last week we talked about percentage of approvals and denials for EB1A and EB2 NIW green cards. At the end of that video, I gave a top 10 of countries by number of approvals in each of those categories for the 3 first quarters of fiscal year 2023. However, there was a mistake for the NIW numbers. Okay, we're going to see both again, but the issue was in the NIW, and the issue was that I was using Excel and a spreadsheet, and when I was imported data, and all those numbers that were higher than 1,000 were imported as 1. Okay, and that made countries that should have been in the top 10, they went to the last numbers of the table and they were not listed in my presentation. So, because I don't like to leave things like that, let's look at the numbers and stay until the end of the video because we are also going to do an announcement for those of you who are members of my courses. All right, so EB1A approvals by number of approvals, by country of birth. Okay, country of birth is what matters when it comes to the visa bulletin, for example, for these green card processes. So for EB1, we see that China and India are always in the top 10, in the top 2. Okay, Brazil is number 3 in the 2 first quarters and then is number 4 because Russia takes Brazil's place. Okay. There's nothing new here. This is exactly the same numbers that I had in my other video and nothing has changed, okay? For my friends in South America, in Central and South America, Spanish-speaking friends like me, Colombia, Venezuela are always in the tables. And in the 3rd quarter of fiscal year 2023, we also see Argentina, okay? For my other friends in Latin America, my Brazilian friends that speak Portuguese, I speak a similar language. And I've met a lot of you and you're great people, of course. We see Brazil in the top 5 all the time. Okay, Brazil really get a lot of applicants and successful applicants that get to the end of the process with an approval. Let's see what happens in EB2 NIW. And I'm going to point out what are the difference between this table and what I showed to you last week. Well, China is always number 1, Brazil is always number 2, Iran is always number 3, and then we have India that is number 4 or number 3 depending on the quarter. The difference here is that I had missed all these countries that are on the top that are higher than 1,000. Okay, because of the issue I told you with importing the data. Sometimes this happens. I didn't want to leave it like that. I wanted to show you the data, the correct data, and of course, apologize for the mistake. I'm surprised that India is so high in EB2. It's not as high as in EB1, but I'm surprised because India, as you know, has a backlog of more than a decade for EB2, which includes NIW, National Interest Waiver. China really dominates both EB1 and EB2, and that makes sense. They are not as backlogged. They are the other country that suffers from these wait times, but they don't suffer as much as India. So they don't have as much wait time as India does, okay? So What do you think about these numbers? Did you expect to see China always at the top? Did you expect to see other countries like Mexico, by the way, which is not even listed in the top 10? What did you expect? I also want to show you where you can find this data. So in case I make a mistake, you can cross-check and you can fact-check what I say, which is extremely important, not only with me, but with anyone that you trust and you follow, okay? Sometimes we're human beings, we make mistakes, even if it's in good faith. All right, so what I did is I went to Google and I Googled USCIS statistics, and I make sure that I access a .gov official website, as usual. So I click on this immigration and citizenship data, and here we have a bunch of different topics, and you can filter also by the type of data you want to see. I could look for I-140, for example, and filter it out. But if you just navigate down, you will find all the data that they release. A lot of times the data is not really in a nice format. Sometimes it's in PDF only, sometimes they have some Excel files, but the Excel files are CSV. They are not, they're usable, but it's not the type. You will not find like a very nice Excel spreadsheet. That's what I mean. So if we navigate down, I'm going to show you the type of data I use for this top 10 that I'm showing. So I'm going to continue until I find Form I-140 by fiscal year, quarter, and case status. So I click on here, and then you have this PDF with the cases approved and denied. And if you go down, you can also see the state they were in. And then you get the table and you get the approvals here. The received cases. I didn't use that for my top 10. But if you go to later here, for example, you see approvals by country of birth. And that's the type of data I use in my presentation, basically. So just to recap a little bit with what we saw last week, for those of you who missed that video, you can go back and check it out. But approval rates for EB1A, 70 to 74% in fiscal year 23, and EB2 NIW, 77 to 85%. A little bit higher than EB1A. That's normal because EB1A is a higher standard than EB2 NIW. The numbers were a little bit lower than the previous year for NIW, and in Q3 we saw a decline in approval. So we are going to have to wait to see when they release the new data for the last quarter to see if they correct previous quarters. Sometimes they do that, and if they don't, we're going to watch if the numbers are stable or this is a new trend. Okay. Now, before you go, I have a special announcement, so stay here with me for a second. If you're serious about either EB2 NIW or EB1A, please go to my website as a do-it-yourself applicant, as someone that you want to take control of your process, do it by yourself. These are the websites that you need to consult to find the material you need to support your application. But the courses in that website are what I'm most proud of, because you enroll in that course and at your own pace, you take all those lectures and you will really be in a position to understand these categories correctly. You will learn the requirements, how to craft the documents, how to fill out the forms, of course, and you will be able to ask me questions that I will always prioritize over, for example, YouTube comments. Okay, and that's something I also want to say. I get more and more comments in YouTube that are very, very personalized kind of support. I will not do that in YouTube, but I will be a little bit more helpful here because at the end of the day, I have to prioritize my time. Okay, my time is limited. So the other thing I wanted to say is that for NIW, the course is in Spanish and in English. You will find in all these 9 modules a bunch of lectures that you can follow, and we are going to have monthly sessions starting this month of November. This will be exclusive for course members. It will be included. You will not have to pay anything extra. I will send an email saying, okay, we're going to have a session this Saturday. Please use this link and I'm going to see you there. You're going to be able to connect, submit your questions, and I will provide the best answers I can for those questions. I will also select certain topics, and the beginning of that live lecture will be me explaining a topic, and then we'll move on to Q&A related to that or related to any topic that the students in my course have, okay? So don't let this opportunity pass. The price of the course is really reduced. It has exactly the same cost that it had when I launched it. It was an introductory pricing. It's going to go up before the end of the year. So I am not saying this to scare or anything, but it is the truth. I want you to know that if you do it now, it's going to be cheaper. If you wait, the cost is going up because there's nothing like this course at this price, I guarantee you. And if you find it, please let me know and I'll be happy to check it out. But I'll see you there, and I'll continue seeing you here also. You know, one thing doesn't conflict with the other. I will, of course, prioritize my course, but I will keep coming on this YouTube channel to show you everything I know, and a few tips and tricks. Of course, if you want them all and you want them organized, go to that course instead. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here one more week, subscribing, sharing this channel with others. I wish you good luck in your green card journey, and I will see you in the next video.